Okay, so welcome to the second session of 5, in which we are looking day by day at the sitting meditation that we practice at Empty Meadow, which is called the full awareness of breathing. So this is the second session, and we're going to be looking at uh, the second kind of part of uh, preparation prior to really focusing on the body, but it's kind of the transition between preparation we did yesterday and the body, which we'll be doing tomorrow. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen, and I'm just going to quickly whiz through what we talked about yesterday. So we talked about a definition of mindfulness being awareness initially of ourselves and moving it out to the wider world later. And we talked about how we approach our mindfulness practice at the very beginning. We need to have some belief that we can do it, even though we haven't done it yet. And my analogy is when we learnt to swim and we were standing on the side of the swimming pool, looking at other people in the water, swimming around, kicking and paddling. And when we first start doing it, it's being asked to do something we're not entirely comfortable with, we're not used to, and then expecting not to sink. So from time to time we will sink, and we'll get it wrong, in inverted commas. We'll will not achieve what we think we should be achieving, and that can be frustrating. So there's an element of diligence required, an element of determination initially, like any learning process, when you're on the steep part of the learning curve, as they sometimes call it. And I just acknowledged my faith in Buddhism, but the course is certainly, and the group is not about making people into Buddhists. It's certainly not something that's one of the project outcomes. But we acknowledge that the original sutra, it comes from Buddhism. Some of the techniques come from Headspace, which is a popularized meditation, learn to meditate kind of app. And Thich Nhat Hanh is the founder of the Plum Village tradition, which I follow, which is a Buddhist tradition, integrating the two main streams of Buddhism and trying to make it relevant to people living in the West. So this is the schema that mindfulness of self is about, and we split ourselves up into our bodies, our feelings, and our mind, and further split the mind up as shown there. Yesterday we were over here somewhere in a block which isn't there, called prepare, and today we're just leaving prepare. We've got one foot still in prepare, and we're moving over to the body. So in prepare, we made a commitment to really have a go at it this time in the next 16, 17 minutes that we'll be practicing. We started focusing on our breathing. We thought about our posture. We thought about good posture and the position that we sit in. We closed our eyes, moved the tongue, tip of our tongue to the top of our mouth, and we started breathing in and out of our nose, pardon me, because our tongue is in the way. We're not breathing through our mouth. And we brought our awareness to the first parts of our body that are obviously there, the points of contact between us and the outside world. So in the meditation hall at Empty Meadow, we're sitting in chairs, but you could be sitting on a cushion, a mat, lying on the floor, but parts of your body will be in contact with the outside world. So we think about the weight of our body on the chair and our feet on the ground. And then once we've felt very aware of that contact between us and the outside world, we move on to what we'll be looking at today, which is our connection between us sitting in the chair with these points of contact and the world around us. So the way we normally communicate, this is going to sound really obvious, but I'll say it anyway. the way we normally get information from the world around us is through our senses. And you don't need me to tell you that we've got 5 of them. But one of them isn't working brilliantly well because we've just shut our eyes. So we're going to scratch sight. And so the next the next sense that you will be aware of, most likely, depends on your environment, but most likely is going to be sound. So sound is a sense that we use an awful lot. If you take vision away from it, vision, I think, is the sense in the West that we use pretty much all the time, and certainly in the UK where we live, we're always looking at computer screens and iPhones and devices, tellies, looking at each other, looking at magazines, whatever. We're looking all the time. We're looking. But we're also listening. We're listening to music and to people talking and to the radio, and no one can drive anywhere without the radio on anymore. So we're always listening as well. Sound is also interesting in that the level of information that comes through per second in sound is a lot lower than through vision. So sound is simpler. It's a simpler data stream, if you want to put it that way. And sound is also 360. Vision is just in front of us. So we also use sound to see behind us, be aware of our full environment. And so it works quite well in this step, because we want to imagine the whole world around us. We're like in a ball of the world, and sound is coming at us from every surface of the inside of this ball. So we're in the middle of the ball. The ball's around us. I don't know. Imagine it's 10 feet either side, 10 feet above and below you, front and behind, big ball. And sound is we're in the ultimate 5.1 stereo or whatever you call it. And we've got sound coming, surround sound coming from everywhere. So sound alerts us to threats as well as to things that we ought to turn around and look at. So it's kind of like a preliminary sense, but we're going to use it as our primary sense here. And we just begin to notice sound. Now, another problem that some of us have in the UK or in the West, in a Western view, is that we expect everything to happen right now. So, now we've closed our eyes, we want enlightenment. We don't want to muck about. We want to get there. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to be patient. We're going to have to wait. So when you start to be aware of sound, the first thing people notice, unless they're lucky, is that there isn't any. And then you think, oh, well, what's the point in this? And I'll move on. I'll look for something else. So this is a good place to begin the practice of patience. It won't be long, and I'm literally talking seconds before you do hear something, but it might seem like a long time. And that's just an example of how used to we are, or how familiar we are with the situation of receiving exactly what we want, exactly when we want it. So some of meditation is about letting go, and we're going to try and let go of that expectation, and we're going to try to be patient. So I'm laboring this point because this idea of patience and waiting for the period of time just of one breath, in breath and out breath, is a recurrent theme throughout the sitting meditation. So if we wait, in the end we hear a sound, and try to be aware of that sound fully. That sound might be quite a complicated sound. It might even be with your eyes closed. It's a familiar sound, but you notice it in a level of depth, either complexity, maybe the richness of the sound might be richer because your eyes are closed. So try to notice that. Try to notice that when you focus on something, you get a richer level of information. Again, recurrent theme here. As we focus fully on something, we understand it, we sense it in greater clarity with greater depth. Try to think of the relationship between where I am, where I was in contact with the weight of my body and my feet on the floor, all that, where I am right now, and where is that sound in relation to me, and how am I connected to it? Is it a bird in the garden? Is it my partner putting the dishwasher on downstairs? Is it my kids playing their music too loud? Is it the noise of the traffic outside? What is my relationship to that sound? Don't overthink it. Don't think, what kind of bird is it? I wonder what color it is. I wonder if it's a big bird, a small bird. Is it spring, so it can't be a goose? I don't know. Whatever. Don't think about it. That probably doesn't make any sense. But don't think too much about the sound, but just be aware of it and your relationship to it. And then on the next breath, or once you've kind of done a bit of sound surveillance, you don't have to, but you could also get in touch with some other sensory modalities. So smell is up on the screen there. So you might have lit an incense stick prior to your meditation, or a scented candle or something like that. You might notice that someone's cooking in the house and that the food smells good or bad. You might notice a smell from outside. I just bring up outside because I mentioned about birds and traffic. It's a really good, unless it's freezing cold, but even then, it's a really interesting, and I would recommend it, good practice. It's really helpful in your practice to, when you're doing a sitting meditation, just if you have to close the door so that you don't let the heat out, as it were, just open the window just a crack, no more than an inch is necessary, but it will allow you to be in contact with the wider world, and not just in the little box that you're sitting in. It's absolutely amazing to do a sitting meditation in the garden, come out of the box completely, or in a park, or if you're in the woods or wherever. In fact, in the original scripture from Buddhism, pretty much all of the sutras begin by go and sit in the middle of nowhere under a tree and then start following this practice. So it's thoroughly recommended throughout the ages to open the window a little bit and be in connection with the world around you. Okay, so we've done sound. We're maybe going to bring in smell. What smells are there? And when you smell something, just notice if you put your full attention on that smell. It's quite a rich smell. It's quite not rich in the sense of kind of strong, but complex. Smell is a really complex sensation. It can invoke emotions. That's why people sell perfume and stuff like that. But olfactory senses, the nerve that's at the top of your nose is one of your cranial nerves. It's your second cranial nerve. I hope I'm right in saying that. It goes straight back into your brain. There's no junction boxes, no long wires connecting that sense apparatus to the brain. It's I don't know, 4 inches in an adult from your olfactory bulb, top of your nose, straight into your brain. So we're talking, M1, junction 1. It goes straight in. Massive pathway, huge nerve. So masses of information is constantly going through that sense. And it is also a bit of a surveillance sense. It's looking for trouble. It's trying to work out what's that compound made of. looking for, it's going to tell you that the food is rotten before you stick it in your mouth to prevent you from doing that. It's going to tell you that the food is good, and stick as much as you can in your mouth. It's going to tell you that's the smell of the person you love. That's the smell of your garden when it looks pretty. All kinds of information is going to come from smell. Very complex information. So focus on it. And again, my connection to that, the world around me. And I won't go into much more detail with taste and touch, but taste not so much unless you've eaten or you've got a strong taste in your mouth. Touch is interesting. You are sitting still, and if you're in a meditation hall, probably that's all that's happening. But with the window open, you can get in touch with air movement. And on a windy day, it's good to have the wind blow through in the room. When it's raining, you can not only hear the rain and smell the rain, but you can feel even moist air coming through the, don't flood the room or anything, but you can feel it. So the whole thing is like a connection. And then the next part that we're going to look at today is called scan. So scan is, again, it's directly lifted from Headspace, but a lot of meditation practices have body scanning in them. And it's bringing your attention from outside back to the body, and it's the beginning of body proper. So what you do is you bring your awareness from all those things that were going on outside back to self. So now you're placing yourself in this environment and you're checking in with yourself. So you start by just taking a quick snapshot of the whole body. How am I generally feeling at the moment? Am I super stressed? Am I angry? Am I tired? Am I awake? How am I feeling? Just in a word. First word that jumps to your head. Not particularly a word, but you're just trying to take a quick Polaroid snapshot of the whole body. Shouldn't be more than one in-breath, really. And then once you can use the metronome of your breathing, in and out breathing, to start at the top of your head, the very vertex of your head, so where your hair is, basically, and move down through your scalp, through your head, slowly down through your body. So the kind of description that I give of this is, imagine you're lying on a massive photocopier and someone's photocopying your body from head through your body down to your toes, or a flatbed scanner or whatever you use. But you got the idea. Most of us have used one of them. So it's a beam of light slowly moving through, but it doesn't have to be a beam of light. It could just be a line or whatever moving through. And as you're going down in a slow and steady pace, you're meeting each part of your body and just checking in with it. How's it doing at the moment? You could even be grateful that it's okay. Because don't forget, don't ignore if your body's working well. Just, if it gives you a big thumbs up, that's good. And I just bring in the toothache story here. Ty tells a really interesting story, which is often retold, about the benefit of having a toothache. And we've all had toothache, and you think, well, what could possibly be the benefit? It's really uncomfortable and painful, but the benefit is that it reminds you of what it's like to not have a toothache, because most of our lives we walk around not grateful that we don't have a toothache today, other than the day that we do have a toothache, and then we wish we were back in the time where we didn't have a toothache. So be thankful that your eyes are working, your ears are working, your nose is working, and as you scan through, just notice, oh right, we're doing all right here. Because by the time you get to the bottom, probably you'll find that 90% of your body's functioning brilliantly. And you can think, oh, I thought I was, not in such a great place. But thinking about it on balance, my body seems all right. It may be that your knee hurts or your back's always stiff or whatever. But even then, you didn't spend ages dwelling on it because you scanned past it. You went, oh, back's still hurting. Yeah, it always does that. But yeah, I acknowledge it, but I'm not going to get stuck on it. I'm going to move on. And that's helpful. It allows us to again, practice the coming and going, allowing things to come and go, just like we did with sound and scent in the previous step. Now we're just meeting each part of the body, saying hi, checking in with it, moving on. And we're doing that in a kind of slow, smooth, steady way. If when we first start, because we're always in a bit of a rush when we first start meditating to get to enlightenment, we're really mad keen to get there. So we might think, oh, I can do this. It's easy, right? And we're done. So we try and avoid that if possible. If you do it and you get to the bottom of your feet and you think, oh, well, he hasn't said anything yet, just go back up to your head and go back again. And if you get halfway through and ask you to move to the next step, that's okay. But try not to go zut, 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 and scan yourself 5 times. Try and slow down. Some of this is about take it easy. Just slow down. It's only 90 seconds, so it's not that slow. But just chill a little bit and allow it to happen. Yeah. So that's pretty much that slide done. Okay, so we won't go on to there because that's the end of today's talk, and I was pretty close to half an hour, so that's where we've got to. So each day we're going to practice a mini meditation. All of these are on the website. You can practice them one at a time, or you're getting to grips with certain steps, or if you're practicing the whole meditation with the group and you feel that you keep getting stuck on a certain step, or you're not sure you're doing it right, the mini meditations can help you, hopefully, as well as these talks. Okay, so we're going to do the Connect mini meditation. And I apologize yesterday I didn't have the bell. I've got the bell today. And we're going to just invite the bell. And then for the next 6 minutes, we're going to do the meditation. So just shuffle forward in your chair. Make sure your back's nice and straight and upright, and your thorax, your chest is balanced over your bum, over your pelvis. And you're nice and comfortable, feet on the floor. And we can begin. And we begin, as we normally do, with our eyes in a nice soft focus, just looking at one thing in front of us and taking some big, deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just in through your nose, that's it, and out through your mouth. In and out. And with the next out breath, close your eyes. Through your nose, begin breathing. In and out. Become aware of the weight of your body on a chair or on the floor. Feet touching the ground. Your hands in your lap. Now become aware of your sensations. Hear the sound around you. Smell the air. Feel the breeze moving against your skin. Listening. Smelling. Feeling. listening, smelling, feeling, listening, smelling, feeling, become aware of your breathing. Follow each in-breath, each out-breath. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. Just breathing in. Just breathing out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Bring your awareness back to your body, back to the space around you. Become aware of those different points of contact. Sitting on a chair, your feet are on the ground. And then, in your own time, gently open your eyes. Okay. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. Um, uh, this particular session where I'm actually recording on my own, poor me. So we normally have a question and answer at that point, but it's just you and me today. So I'm not able to answer your question. Apologize about that. The next session is going to re-establish ourselves in the body and look at the breath, which is kind of the name of the meditation. So they're all important bits. So I wouldn't say it's the most important bit, but uh, it's really certainly we're leaving preparation behind, and we really entered a meditative state, and we really have brought our focus and practice bringing our focus into different areas, both within ourselves and without ourselves. And now we're really going to focus on those key parts of the self, being the body, feelings,